Okay. Hello, dear honorable delegates and organizers of the conference. Thank you for the chance to participate. I would like to start presenting my research with the title The Role of Students' Imagination in Amplifying the Ability to Memorize Foreign Language. Today, I represent Japan, but originally I'm from Latvia. I'll start off with my profile. I was born in Latvia, Riga, in a bilingual Russian-Latvian family. And I graduated the Latvian Academy of Culture in stage directing, worked at National Theatre as a composer and actor, and later moved to Japan, where I graduated Kyushu University's Graduate School of Design. Currently, I'm working as an elementary school teacher in a private school in the island of Kyushu, teaching English, drama, art dialogue, and music improv classes. Currently, I'm also an ongoing PhD student at design. If you would like to contact me, there is my email in this page, and you can contact me for advice, questions, or possible collaboration. All right, let's proceed. Okay, first of all, the context of my research, the factors of alteration in learning, attentiveness, and communication. First of all, it is not a secret to us all that the influence of tech and social media has led us to excessive screen time, and therefore attention span goes down, and language and cognitive development also suffers due to that. We also have a lower emotional understanding ability and expressive speech delay due to face-to-face interaction absence. And these problems have also become increasingly problematic due to COVID-19, due to stalling in real life education. Also, yes, the English education in Japan is focused mostly in entertainment factors like games and songs for younger children, at least. And it is not very effective, to be honest, due to introvert customs that the Japanese culture is characterized by. And the English fluency level is only 2 to 8%. And also, there is a natural lack of interest in the language learning due to little ethnic diversity. Also, I would like to note some problems in foreign language classrooms that I have observed and read about. The rhythm of the lesson is not consciously perceived very often, both by teachers and pupils. And also, lessons very often are heavily textbook focused, so the pupils are unable to truly identify with the taught material. There is no real life experience in the learning process. So my proposed directions before doing this research were the combination of the following elements to balance creativity and learning process. These elements are rhythm, greetings, activity start signal, I call them cues, physical cues, and most importantly in this research, creative ownership of the learned material by the student. So I'll proceed with the literature review. So firstly, process-oriented teaching style often exposes the student to a setting where there is less pressure to perform flawlessly, so you can make mistakes. And that is especially important for self-conscious Japanese children and people in general. Also, drama elements such as role play and pantomime present benefits in larger effect than a conventional teacher-centered way. It's a new research in 2020, and the score results were almost twice as better as the textbook-based learning. I'm not saying it should cancel it out, but this is strong information. In Japan, a very often used method is called model action talk method, and it is built on the connection between target language, gestures, pair work, and it leads essentially to students' independent ability to use the target language. On paper, this sounds very good, and in lesson it looks very good, but in reality, it is not enough for the child or the pupil to identify the language with him personally or her. So the challenges encountered in reviewed research. Very often people who research drama describe the situations where peers appear to be a bit noisy and difficult to control due to excitement and creative atmosphere, which is very natural, I think. And teachers, very often, English teachers, they are not ready to use drama as their main teaching tool for their class due to lack of training and understanding how drama works. And there is also some shyness or some potential awkwardness. Yes. And to answer these problems, I see potential, and other researchers also see potential in greetings. Greetings performed by the students raise the mean baseline on task productivity from 45% to 72%. And individualized greetings lead to sense of community, socio-emotional development, and a sense that one is always being heard. So the questions behind this study: does a combined setting of organization, discipline, rhythm contribute to the creative process of learning a foreign language through drama? And the most important question: does a pupil's decision on what kind of expression or vocabulary he or she will learn affect the ability to remember the learned material? So basically give creative ownership to the pupil. Does it help remembering? The following hypothesis was emerged with preparation keeping its emphasis. The following hypothesis was made. Children are able to memorize expressions in English more easily when they have chosen the expressions they want to learn independently and spontaneously. And on the contrary, null hypothesis, which I was trying to contradict with my hypothesis, is that expressions generated by third person will be remembered at the same rate as the ones generated by themselves, and accordingly translated and adapted to English by the teacher. So methodology, how we prepared for this. So since there is a wide difference gap between drama and conventional language learning lesson, there is an important point to adapt discipline to make it more effective. So I, being originally a professional actor-director, I remembered that adaptation of discipline, so discipline in theater plays a crucial role to create a creative material. So I thought this work ethic would be very beneficial also in education. So firstly, to achieve this kind of discipline, greetings are important. So teaching a technique of specific greeting system involving speech and gestures to create the aforementioned sense of community and mutual assistance. And also the physical cues. Teach a technique of physical and vocal cues used before the beginnings of creative activities in order to keep the efficiency of necessary actions at the maximum and the amount of unnecessary ones at lowest. And this will result naturally in a very well constructed rhythm of the lesson. So to test the hypothesis, we generated a theme of the role play to the students. We told them this theme, and then the students had to divide into pairs to brainstorm an expression in their native language. And afterwards, they would tell the teacher this expression. The teacher would translate and adapt this expression in English to a sufficient level of the student, of the specific student. And then both of the students, the one who generated his expression and the one pairing with the student, has to remember this one expression made by the first student. And afterwards, they perform these expressions in role play and pantomime techniques in front of their peers. So first, we start with greetings. I'll show you a quick video how we use greetings. The sound is not clearly heard, but I will talk about it. So we make a circle first, and then we use gestures and voice to greet each other. And the students are replying. It also induces some fun and some energy to the lesson. And also, after we're done with this physical cue, we move on to individual kind of greetings and communication, asking to the students how they are feeling, how are they, and they can answer in any way they want. Right, so this point is very crucial, and I think in this research it is important to teach this a priori to the children before this is tested. So, secondly, I'll talk about the aforementioned physical cues. So, physical start signal to become aware with their bodies that the activity has started. So, children, for example, first of all, they make the circle and then they do a special clap in order to make their body understand that the activity is started and focus is necessary. And it looks like this. And it makes the children more focused and applied to the process. So, sequence of actions conducted within the experiment. At the beginning of the experiment, the kids were able to perform the following dialogue and understand it. Hello, hello, how are you today? I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I'm fine too, thanks. Let's, a verb of choice, and yes, let's, the a priori made choice, verb of choice. So, the sequence of actions conducted within the experiment. So, as I said, they are divided in pairs, and they are given the theme. They are brainstorming their expressions, and they are essentially performing. So, I'll show you a quick example of role play. So, yes, children are using one of the themes, and their theme was argument, and the girl is presenting invisible present to the boy, and the boy is receiving a cat that the animal that he doesn't like, and he's telling the girl, "I'm gonna tell the teacher," and the girl is like, "Oh no, don't do that." So this kind of role play generates a real life response and problem solving element, which makes it easy to memorize. Right. So the themes were actually derived from problems. Actually, some of the themes were challenge, I'm busy, it's scary, I'm tired, it's hard. So they all have problem element in order to make the brainstorming process easier. And also, these situations are important so that the children can learn how to improve their well-being in the future in a foreign language setting. So the observed group was 20 students, first graders in a Japanese private school, and the experiment was conducted in 4 lessons. And yes, as a way to test null hypothesis, as a way to test null hypothesis, the children were asked to remember also the expressions of their pair. So yes, the results were the following. We had some sophisticated language for first graders. For example, uh, let's skateboard in the park, or a haunted house is scary. So, quite sophisticated language for a Japanese first grade child. And essentially, 15 out of 20 people were able to remember their own expressions, the ones that they came up with, while 8 out of 20 people were able to remember the expressions taught by their friends. So this proves that the hypothesis that self-generated material really drives the ability to memorize material. Yes. So the discussion. Learning process has been very fruitful. Only 2 students out of 20 did not remember any expressions, unfortunately. And the expressions that were self-generated had obviously a large positive impact on memorization. And so the freedom to decide what and if they use the gesture within the expression was there. So most of their role plays were mime-based, while the expressions that they thought of didn't have movement. So this affirms that the ability to memorize was not really movement-based, but this creative ownership-based. And sorry, so as I mentioned before, a certain sense of sophistication is present in the language for the first graders, and also the first graders had a very interesting sense of curiosity when they were asking, "Teacher, how do I say this in English?" They wanted to just hear how it sounds in a different language. It's a genuine curiosity. So and I can conclude that the interest and enthusiasm within how to say, creative ownership is unparalleled to original to textbook expressions. It's much more interesting for the students, and the behavior was very consistent. No fooling around mostly, and yes, the grammatical framework learned in a conventional English lesson is still very important in Japan, as level of fluency is low. So the fusion of creativity and grammar is very essential, I think. And yes, this individual translation of expressions to each student is a great way to adapt an approach to every student individually according to their level. So the limitations, I think the obvious limitation was that only 20% participants were in my research. I would like to have two separate, unrelated groups in order to have a full control group effect. Even though in this one we incorporated both null and the hypothesis test. And the children were occasionally making grammar mistakes, but they were essentially very fluent with their mistakes. And this helps this introvert Japanese feeling, the people to start being more confident in foreign language. And also the level of difficulty was decided subjectively by the teacher. So there are potentials of backfiring with this. But if there's another teacher who could support this idea, it would be much more easier to maintain objectivity and efficiency. And the conclusions are the following. Foreign language education can be facilitated very much by combining both teacher-centered and student-centered methods. Usual problems encountered in creative methodology can be tackled effectively by teaching children group mentality through greetings and pace-controlling tools. And I think the fusion of them is of great importance in the future. And the method has a potential to be adapted to other subjects like science or history. The pupils could think of problems or situations to identify with the target information taught to them. And also the potential challenges for teachers related to language teaching through drama can be avoided by using such teaching guidebooks as Teaching Drama by publishers like Beat by Beat Press. I highly recommend this material. It's very helpful. And also, yes, the future of effective language education potentially lies in the combination of proper discipline, level of engagement, and the ownership in co-creating the target language, as that enables the active use of imagination, which effectively combats the lack of attention and the aging one-size-fits-all approach. Thank you very much for your time. I would appreciate if there are any questions or comments.